No need to ask, he's a smooth operator.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today on this month's episode of the Transit Talk. I am Roger Marenco.
Hello, I'm Pete Wilson. And with us today, we have two wonderful guests from Woods. Feel free to introduce yourselves.
I'm Hawa.
I'm Sam.
Great, thank you to everybody for joining us here today. Remember, friends, the Transit Talk is a monthly grassroots educational program organized and brought to you by our fellow co-workers to bring you the two single most important fundamental elements of any and every movement. Number one, educating ourselves. Number two, organizing ourselves. That's exactly what we're doing here today on this month's episode of the Transit Talk. This episode is titled Health versus Wealth. What is more important to you, your health or your wealth? A couple of weeks ago, there was an operator who came to work very drowsy, and she was a little nervous because she did not get enough sleep because her children were sick, they were up all night, and she had mentioned this to me. So I commented to her, I said, well, why didn't you just, call in sick? That's dangerous. You don't get enough sleep, you're coming to work drowsy. It's not only unhealthy and unsafe, it creates an extremely dangerous situation for the general public. And I thought to myself, her response was, well, I could not call in sick, Roger, because I'm on this sick restriction, sick abuse thing. And I just thought, wow, this is very interesting. Your health versus your wealth. And as a result, we decided to do this segment here, and we might have future episodes in regards to health versus wealth because it's such a large topic. Now, speaking and focusing in on this one particular topic, the issue of sleep or the lack thereof, how important is it? Health versus wealth. Sam, what do you think? How important is getting a healthy, enough sleep?
It's actually very important. It's imperative for our line of work. Operating heavy machinery, you have people on your bus, on your train, and you have their lives in your hands. So if you're tired, you probably want to call in, or, I definitely recommend getting at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep, minimum, before you operate. And also, I'd like to share that most, 18 million people suffer from sleep apnea, which is why it's very important to get checked, and which is why they're covering it now at VTT class, and specifically with people who operate heavy machinery. Obstructive sleep apnea is caused basically by a blockage in your throat. When you lay down, the soft tissue collapses, closes the airway, which causes you to choke in your sleep throughout the night. Several times throughout the night you'll stop breathing. The word apnea actually means without breath. So it's very important to make sure you get tested. Now, with our procedures now to drive, with going through for our medical clearance, you have to go to SF General. You guys are familiar with that. You get the green card, which is now the white card.
The medical card?
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are the symptoms. I'll give you the symptoms here. Very, very loud snoring. It's the number one symptom. Waking up with a sore throat and dry throat. Occasional waking up with a choking or gasping sensations. Sleepiness or lack of energy during the day. Sleepiness while driving, which is number one for us. Morning headaches, restless sleep, forgetfulness, mood changes, and decreased interest in sex. Recurrent awakenings or insomnia can all come from sleep apnea. So what you want to do is, when you go down, from my experience, I had to do a sleep study at a sleep clinic, which they let you go to your own, doctor. So I went through Kaiser. You sleep at the clinic overnight. They attach a bunch of things to your body to measure how many times you wake up, how many times you stop breathing, all of those things. And after the results, they give you your results, and they basically tell you, in my case, I stopped breathing 60-something times completely, and about 30-something times with short breaths. So a total of 90-something times, around 96 times, I believe, I stopped breathing over the night, over the sleep study.
Wow, very interesting.
The number one form of treatment is a CPAP machine, which is you basically wear it on your nose or your mouth. You can pick kind of which mask fits better, It runs through the machine. There's a hose, has a water tank if you prefer more humidity to make it where it's not dry, where your throat, and you don't get dry. If you don't like the heat, you can turn it off and not use the water chamber. But basically, there's a memory card that keeps track of every night. So when you sleep, you have to sleep a minimum of 4 hours per night before you can get cleared. So when you go to SF General to do your medical, they're going to ask you for at least 3 to 6 months of data. So you take your memory card, you go to your General Sleep Clinic, they print it out. When you go in for your appointment to General, you take the data.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not have the data, they will not clear you. So you won't get your green card, or which is now the white card, and you won't be able to work. They won't. So it's important.
Let me ask, Sam, how did you have the idea to get tested for it?
So what they look for is, well, I went in to get my medical. What they look for is your BMI, your weight. There's 4 main factors: BMI, weight, your neck size, and if you snore at night. So if you answer yes to all of those questions, or if they measure a certain amount, my neck size is pretty big. For like a dress shirt in particular, I'm like a 20-inch neck. So that's a sign. They ask you, do you snore? Yes, I snore. And then they do your BMI when they get your weight. Now what they're using as a cutoff is about roughly 250 pounds now. So if you go in for your medical, you weigh about 250, and your neck is big, they're going to ask you to get tested.
So then you got tested, then
Yeah.
they said positive, then they gave you the equipment, and then they said, instead of 2 years, you have to come back every year.
Every year. So you only get a 1-year medical clearance.
Okay.
So every year you would have to come back and redo
But how do
that.
you feel? Do you feel like you're sleeping better?
Yes, I sleep better. I'm at the point even where I actually have 2 machines. When I go on vacation, I have a machine that I take to travel. When I stay home, I have a machine at home.
Nice.
And it's to the point where if I don't get the minimum, I'm not going to go in and put people's lives at risk. I'm not
Right.
even going to come in.
You're
So
not going to
it's-
put people's lives at risk. That's good. That's great, man. That's very important for us to hear. Before moving on, Hawa, let me ask you this: how important is this to you in terms of health versus wealth? How important is it to get a proper night's sleep? Let me give you a scenario, the scenario that we just gave a few moments ago. So if your children keep you up all night, you've had 2 hours worth of sleep, and you have to go into work the next day. What are you going to do?
I will not go to work the next day. Health is very important. Sleep is very important. I definitely agree with Sam. Safety is first. If you have lack of sleep, then you will not concentrate. You will not do your job properly, and you might just definitely put somebody's life at risk. So I will stay home, take care of myself, come back to work when I am refreshed and well rested.
Health versus wealth. Excellent, fantastic.
Health is wealth.
Health is wealth. Indeed, it is. I agree 100%.
I wanted to point out, Roger,
quickly,
that I
yes,
did
please.
download this. Sleepiness causes accidents. It says here that sleep deprivation was a factor in the 1979 nuclear accident at 3 Mile Island, the Exxon Valdez oil spill, 1986 meltdown at Chernobyl. It also makes you dumbs you down is what they put. Sleep, it can also lead to serious health problems like heart attacks, blood pressure, heart failure, and can lower your drive. Sleepiness is depressing and affects your skin, makes you forgetful, actually helps you gain weight, and can increase your risk of death. And the most important for us maybe is sleep loss impairs judgment.
Wow. Okay, lots of stuff in regards to that. Remember, friends, we're going to have a future episode in regards to health versus wealth, just because of the fact that it's such a broad topic and aspect that we cannot cover everything in this short segment. Moving on from sleep, we'd like to talk a little bit about eating and drinking here on the job, just because here many of our fellow co-workers are having a tough time, a difficult time in regards to this aspect, eating and drinking. Pete, what do you have to say about this?
Well, we were talking about this earlier. I typically bring my own food. Roger was saying he liked this. A couple operators have noticed this. You can either get it like at Rainbow Grocery, many other different groceries. It's got 2 different levels. You can get this actually in Chinatown as well. It's a great way to bring your food. I was telling these folks that I had to visit my dad. Unfortunately, he's in the hospital and up in Petaluma, and I came back to go to work, didn't have time to make my food, and I went and got some fast food in Chinatown. I love Chinese food, but I went to a quick, cheap place, and my stomach for the rest of the day was a little upset, and actually I was quite drowsy. So I'm not saying that's true of all takeout food that you're going to get, but Roger said earlier, health versus wealth. I think if you go shopping or have time to go shopping and prepare your food, you can save some money. I have this container. I have this container that actually has a little handy spoon in it, keeps your food cold or hot. I sometimes put nuts and seeds inside of there. And then also as far as drinking, I think you've said, or maybe not yet, but you've said to me, hydration is very important. I bring my water in this, okay? Most bus yards, if not all bus yards, have a water filter where you can get cold or hot water, right? I mean,
Right.
I believe they do at Flynn. When I was at Flynn, I think they did, Potrero. And to save money, I always put, green tea in this one because green tea helps. I mean, I do drink coffee in the morning. But to go out and spend $3 or $4 at Starbucks when I can get a green tea bag and put it in here, put some hot water, and then at the end of the night, I maybe put a little bit of chamomile to tone me down, or let's not forget ginger tea. Folks, we're talking about health here. Some of these have antioxidants. Some of these decrease swelling. What's a proper way to say swelling?
Inflammation.
Inflammation, thank you. So the ginger tea will help settle your stomach. Chamomile helps you sleep, reduces stress. These are great things to bring folks, and health, not health versus wealth, health and wealth. Be prepared, cut down on your costs, save some money, and do it in a healthy way.
Health versus wealth.
That's
I like what Hawa said earlier. Her line: "Health is wealth." Indeed, it is. And we see many of our fellow coworkers out in the streets just eating not as healthy as we should be, and as a result, studies and statistics show that we oftentimes suffer from high blood pressure, high cholesterol levels. Right? You guys have heard all of that, right? Hypertension. What do you think, Hawa, in regards to the issue of eating and drinking healthier especially at our job sites? You know, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, I know most people say they don't have time maybe to pack food. They have to run out the door, go do their job, and then when they go to work, they go to the most convenient store next door to their bus to get whatever they want. But just take it one step at a time. When you go in there, don't choose what you see that might be good for your taste buds, but grab the trail mix. Don't grab the Twinkies, or grab a turkey sandwich. Don't grab the grilled cheese, whatever. But grab whatever is healthier. Look at the nutrition facts. See how much sodium is in it, how much sugar is in it, how much fat is in it. How many calories doesn't really matter. But that's another story, another time maybe. But just look at the fat, the protein, or the sugar, or the salt.
Sam, what are your thoughts?
I agree with Hawa. I think for me personally, I've recently cut out meat, so I would say I'm more vegetarian versus vegan. I still eat, eggs and some dairy butter, stuff like that. But for me, I've lost 9 pounds just since 4th of July.
Wow.
So just from cutting out the red meat and the pork alone. And then I notice I feel better when I operate now too. I don't feel sluggish. I don't have that bloated feeling. Just a better feeling overall. I cut out soda a long time ago, so I cut the sugar and the salt down.
Good. I hear many of our coworkers saying that once they came here and started operating the vehicles, that they became, unfortunately, less healthy because you're constantly on the run trying to make this schedule. There's no breaks here, there's no breaks there, and it gets so crazy, and your health just goes down the drain. Whereas you try to increase your wealth by moving fast, by operating unsafe, by coming to work with not enough sleep. And this is one of the reasons why we decided to try and tackle this issue that many of us are suffering with. Pete?
Well, I'd like to address that these two mentioned, or at least Sam mentioned vegetarian. How you mentioned vegetarian before. I was a vegetarian for 14 years and a vegan for 7 years. I did read a book called Eat Right for Your Blood Type. Now, I'm not saying this book is correct, but it says for people like O type of blood like me that I should eat more meat. And actually, I've switched to being paleo. So I'm about as far as from being vegetarian or vegan as you can be. And I encourage the experimenting or the trying. I mean, I thought I was going to be a vegan for the rest of my life, but then I had issues with gout, and I still have some issues with gout, but I've cut it way down by actually becoming gluten-free. And so there are many different options out there to check out. I do want to show you this. This was a few years ago, the cover of National Geographic. It says sugar and why we can't resist it. Because you both, I believe, mentioned sugar, or all three of you mentioned sugar, man. It's tough. If people talk about their addictions, and people don't even talk about sugar because it's legal. As one person, I was reading something said, or I heard it on a podcast that said sugar is more addicting than cocaine. And you know what's worse than that? I mean, they gave to rats sugar and cocaine, and you know what the rats went for? The sugar. And you know what? The crazy thing is, I mean, there's some places where you can find cocaine, but it's heck of a lot easier to find sugar than it is to find cocaine. And unfortunately, more people die from sugar.
Indeed, and that sugar has to get at some point in time burned off if and when you do consume it, right? So let's try and talk about the importance of moving here at our job site. I believe it was last month, or on one of the past episodes, where I brought a bulletin stating the importance of getting up, standing up when you get to each terminal, securing your vehicle, and walking around your bus. Just the absolute importance of standing up and walking around your bus, even if just for 1 or 2 minutes. It was in a bulletin that came out just a few, I think, months ago. I don't know if it's policy or if it's recommendation, but whatever the point is, it's talking about our health. There are many operators that I know of that have a sort of macho man. This used to be myself, for one. Macho man mentality. Hey, I can go 10 hours without taking a break. I can go 10 hours. I can work a 10-hour straight through run without taking a 702, not even getting up, just circling back and forth and back and forth. And just how dangerous that mindset is. Pete, talk a little bit about this. The importance of moving, getting up, walking around your vehicle, not having this macho man mentality that I can go 10 hours straight through without taking a break, without walking around, without doing anything. I could just sit in the seat all day and check my cell phone, which you're not supposed to do. Yeah, as opposed to getting up and walking around. Why is it so important that we walk around?
Well, I didn't show this book yet. It's called Eat, Move, Sleep. And it's 3 of the main things we're talking about. What do we eat, and movement and sleep. And this is a book I just picked up at the library, and this guy talks about all these different studies and having to do with movement. Folks, when you move, when you sit in this position that we are, you know, we're actually sitting here for 30 minutes, and after 20 minutes, the chemicals in our bodies start to change. So movement is so important. Folks, don't just believe us. Go ahead and Google what's the negative effects of sitting too long. I downloaded this, low energy expenditure, so it helps keep our calories, helps us put on weight, slower metabolism, compromised posture, scrunching down like this. Okay, I was reading something about the bodies, in our body, the abdominal muscles and the lumbar muscles in the back, especially if you lean back and you drive like this, that is not good for your spine. What I like to do, when I drive the 24 from Pacific Heights down to Bayview, Castro on 18th, Castro on 17th is halfway. I pull the brake. It takes a while for people to get on or the light to change. I pull the brake. I stand up. And people are getting on and they're like, what's going on? What's going on? No, just standing up, folks. It's a healthy thing to do. So your posture is very important. Your back and shoulder, your spine injuries. My shoulder isn't feeling all that great these days, but I'm trying to do some work on it. And I was reading Men's Health magazine. The guy asked a question about driving across country. And they said, stretch your shoulders like this. So stretch your pectoralis muscles, your chest like this. All you got to do is grab 2 poles on a bus and stretch it like that. And by stretching your chest, you're actually going to relieve tension in your neck and your shoulders. And a bunch of us have that. Also, by standing up and doing these leg swings, and just going back and forth like this, it'll open up, it'll ease the tension in your hips, and of course stretching your legs because the muscles shorten. I'm going to talk too much of it here, so I'm just going to say rheumatic disorders, obesity, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, they all go up by us sitting too long. So please, when you get to the end, don't just pull out a book and start reading. I love reading, but don't just pull out a book and sit in your chair. At least get out of your chair. I mean, you can get into the bus. Now, I don't think most of us want to do push-ups on the floor of our buses. But what I have done is flipped up the seat and then done push-ups against the back of the seat. Is a good way to work on your chest. You could do squats. You could walk up and down the stairs. I used to do a little yoga in the back. The bars hanging down, do pull-ups. There's a lot of things you could do as far as movement. So it's hard to counteract the excess of sitting, but definitely sitting more. Oh, one last thing. I read somewhere that it was saying that when you sit too long, it makes you more prone to want to sit. You're like, you ever had that? You get out of your seat, you go in the back, and you sit down. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. I think sedentary object tends to stay sedentary.
Indeed, the importance of moving. So, Hawa, let me ask you this. Scenario, you're driving around and you haven't gotten up for, 2 hours, 3 hours. You're running late on your schedule. What are you going to do? Tell me.
So?
Continue in service?
No.
You're going to get up, walk around, stretch your legs a little bit? Tell me, what is it that you're going to do?
I will stop the bus, take my time, get out, use the bathroom, come back, walk around a little bit, kick my feet around, get on the bus and drive. That's what I will do. But walking, like you said, movement, exercise, endorphins, it will make you happier. Don't you want to get on the bus and drive and be happy with the people that you pick up? You want to be stressed out and not be happy? And just like Pete said, use the bus. Your bus is the gym. Make it a gym. Use the front door as a stepper. Go up and down, up and down, up and down. Go inside the bus. Walk around for 10 minutes. Do pull-ups.
The importance of moving around and not just sitting down on the bus hour after hour, day after day, year after year. There are consequences to just sitting down all day long, and we're going to get to that part in a few minutes. But Sam, how important is it for you to get up and walk around at the end of each terminal?
It's very important. I would actually get up and use the restroom, but other than that, security coach, walk around the terminal. No, for me, I had a lot more time and space because I drove aisles, from Woods for a long time. So at night, you have a lot more space to park, a lot more space to move around. It's no traffic. You can kind of do laps around your terminal in a circle or in a square. And just getting fresh air and getting out the bus, and not because I've heard people say even also that the biodiesel makes them dizzy from the new coaches.
We're going to get to that in a moment.
So that's another thing. You want to get out the bus, get fresh air, not just from your window, but get out the bus and walk around, get a little fresh air at the terminals.
Indeed, and keep in mind, friends, that memo that we read, I believe last month or in one of the previous episodes, clearly states for you to get up when you reach the end of each terminal and walk around your vehicle. The importance of getting up, walking around, stretching, checking the bus for any graffiti, damages, etc. Many of us have heard, or many of us know, I think all of us know of operators who are suffering from knee problems, back problems, neck problems, and it is ubiquitous throughout the force. Year after year, decade after decade, after doing the same thing over and over again, sitting for hours upon hours, year after year, you will start to feel the effects and see the effects. One of these effects, along with many of the effects that we just mentioned, is stress. Why is it that we as operators have a high level of stress, anxiety, depression, high blood pressure, hypertension? I've heard many operators say, unfortunately we were not able to get the statistics on this, that after operators retire, oftentimes they pass away within 2 years. Why is that? Pete? Is it built up stress, anger, depression, anxiety? What is it that we are doing to ourselves? Is it because we're rushing up and down the streets? Is it because we're not exercising enough? Is it because we're not healthy enough? What is it? This is one of the reasons why we decided to try and bring this episode to the fleet because we at least need to bring these issues up and talk about it to see what it is that we can offer to try and ameliorate these situations. And I think you guys are doing a great job. We are doing a great job of trying to bring small remedies to these problems. In the regards to the issue of stress, Pete.
Well, I think exercise is a good way to relieve stress. But I do want to point out, not too much of a tangent, but you know what I saw today? I saw Roger Marenco driving the F-line from Milan, Italy. And I do want to point out that that's awesome, because the three of you are in training in the F-line. If you can get that F-line from Milan, Italy, and guess what? The Milan streetcar, the tram, gives you the option to stand up. Stand up, sit down, stand up. And also driving a cable car, that's good for movement too, because you don't have to sit down like us. So how do you... There's a lot of great ways to try and go out and relieve stress, including exercise, including singing. Sometimes, I'm not the greatest singer in the world, but sometimes I hum or whistle or sing to myself as I drive to try and relieve stress. But always remember that it's better to not stress than to try and relieve it after. But common effects of stress on your body: headaches, muscle tension, chest pain, fatigue, stomach upset, sleep problems, anxiety, restlessness, lack of motivation or focus, feeling overwhelmed, irritability, anger, sadness, depression, overeating or undereating, angry outbursts, drug and alcohol abuse, tobacco use, and social withdrawal. These are all effects of stress. So I am not the most stressed out person. I'll tell you one way to not get stressed is to enjoy your job, to love your job. Personally, I don't love my job. I like my job. But there are a few people who love their job. You've met him. There's a guy that drives the F-line with a little cab, and I asked him, and he said, I'd be there every day, even if I didn't get paid. He loves it. There's some people who hate it. Okay, if I hated this job, you know what I do? I try and transfer to another department, because hate builds up a lot of stress inside of you. Just be okay with it, or kind of like it. Find out how you can like it, and I bet you would stress more. And a lot of people have... you know, if a bicyclist cuts you off, you know how then you hate all bicyclists, or Uber driver cuts in front of you. Let's try and not put all of our attention on every Uber driver sucks because of that one Uber driver. Because a lot of our brothers and sisters drive for Uber, right?
Right.
So, you know, I got a complaint again from a passenger. You know what this is? This is a form from Muni, and they put these in the buses. Okay, and it says, you know, oh, let us know how we're doing. You know what I do? I put my I put my driver number on here, and when someone says, hey, thanks for the ride, or something like that, I go, here you go, Sam, you like the ride? Feel free to tell Muni. And guess what? You're going to get positive mentions in your file, and how do you think that makes you feel? And I tell you, don't try and not... I had this one guy yelling at me, swearing at me when I drove the 5, just swearing at me. And you know what? I said, folks, I'm sorry, this guy is not worth it. I love my wife and my kids. They're at home. You guys are great. I'm going to take you home. He might keep swearing. Can I keep driving? I said, yeah. I didn't let it affect me. So
brush it off.
Realizing that guy has nothing to do with you.
Don't let him or them stress you out.
Right.
We're getting paid by the hour. Heck, we're getting paid by the minute.
By the minute. Stay hydrated too, actually, reduces stress.
Staying hydrated. Another way to relieve stress. There you go. Don't let these people stress you out. They are not taking any of your money away. Whether you do one trip that entire day or whether you do 10 trips, you're getting paid the exact same amount. Remember, friends, we're getting paid here by the minute. No need to stress. So, Hawa, your opinions in regards to stress, what Pete just mentioned just now. What do you think? Is there anything that you do to try and relieve yourself from, you know, the high stresses that...
Oh, most definitely. Our job is very stressful, so I definitely relieve stress every day. I work out 6 days a week. Not only do I work out, spending time with my family is a stress relief as well. Meditation, stress relief. Listening to music. Yeah, I definitely believe in relieving stress. Everything is stressful, so definitely relieve stress. I mean, exercise causes stress, but it's a good stress for your body because it makes you work, and then afterwards it releases endorphins, and then you're no longer stressed, which is the bad stress, and you're happy.
Excellent, thank you. Sam?
For me, I would say more, I mean, just the basic principle of leaving work at work and home at home. When it's your day off, if you're not going to do RDO, if it's your day off, leave work at work and let home be home. Right. Spend time with your kids, spend time with your family. You can do, you know, yoga, you meditate or pray, whatever, you know, fits you. And then also just being selective. I recommend to all operators, because this is health versus wealth. So I recommend that you don't pick a run just because you're chasing the money. A lot of operators, they pick a run because it pays the most, but you have to realize that you have to do that run every day. So you don't want to have to waste your sick time because you don't want to do your run. So picking a run that's going to, we all know the lines that will stress you out and give you more stress. So in my case, I would say, like, for instance, I'm an owl driver. The 91 owl is a very, very high stressful run. A very high stress line. Covers the entire city, pays a lot, but if you know it's going to stress you out, if you know you're going to have to do multiple incident reports, why pick that route? That's half the battle right there.
Interesting. You know, on that note, what about the notion of maybe the next sign up trying to choose a run based on what's healthiest for you,
Yeah.
as opposed to chasing the money, like you said, right?
Yeah.
Health versus wealth.
Yes.
Well, Roger, on this run coming up, there was
On the sign-up?
Excuse me, on this sign up coming up. Thank you. I could have signed up for the 21, and I would have been off at 3 o'clock. And instead, I took a split, and I get off at 4, and I'm doing the 41 and then the 24 versus just doing the 21 straight through. And you know, it would have been nice to get off earlier. It would have been nice to go pick up my kids from school every day, that type of thing. But you know what? I thought, hey, 3 hours behind the wheel, hour break. I'm not paid for it, but it helps relieve stress, and it's better for your body to do that than to go straight through. And I do want to say that I would like to see in the future some way that our union, whoever the next administration might be, that they work somehow, especially with the new operators, to help reduce stress. So all of us, we've been here over 4 years, almost 5 years, right? Coming up on 5 years, and I'm a little less stressed than I was when I started. I mean, call if you're 5 minutes late, do this, do that. And there's a lot of things when I've asked our union, hey, can we do this? Can we change that? The response is just typically what?
Slow down.
Just slow down,
Do your best.
And it's like, no, for instance, this rule that you're supposed to call when you're 5 minutes late, right? Now, when I was first here, I did it all the time. I don't do it so much anymore, and the union say, well, just slow down or just call and then park and wait for them to call you back. What if the union said, okay, hello, Muni, we don't want to do this anymore. You can now track us via GPS. You don't need us to do this. This is from the old days. And if Muni says, well, we'd still like you to do it, then the new union hopefully would say to the 2,400 operators, okay, they want us to call. What we need is everybody to call today. Let's pick a day, August 20th. Let's all call. Or forget that, August 21st. There's going to be an eclipse. Let's do it during, is that the day? We'll do it during the eclipse to see how that works. And just keep calling and calling and calling until the Muni finally says, you know what, that rule is kind of adequated and let's get rid of it. Because I don't know you guys, when I was new, that caused me stress.
Tremendous amount of stress indeed. Running 4 minutes late, having to call them. Running 5 minutes late, having to call them.
Yes.
This is definitely huge stress factor for me, especially when
Let's help the new operators.
Indeed, especially when I was brand new. So our time here is running short, but before signing off, I do have to mention this one particular issue in regards to leukemia. Just a few months ago, in the summer of 2017, we lost one of our fellow co-workers due to leukemia. Just last month, an operator out of Kirkland was diagnosed with leukemia. This month, an operator from Flynn was diagnosed with leukemia. Her name is Monique Jacobs, and at her request, we are delivering this message to you. Operators, please get tested. One of the leading causes of leukemia is the constant exposure to benzene. And although Monique was and is feeling very healthy, alive, energetic, etc., she was diagnosed with leukemia, and as a result, she wants the entire fleet, all of our fellow brothers and sisters out there, to know that she was diagnosed with this, even though she felt perfectly fine, perfectly healthy, energetic. She was up and about doing all of this, and now that she's been diagnosed with this, her life has flipped upside down. and she wants to let everybody know that if you've been working at a certain station for X amount of years, to please get tested. That is Monique's words to everybody out here because of the situation that she is going through. Please get tested. She had no idea she was going through this. However, like I said, at her request, she wanted us to mention this, and we are mentioning this to you because of the fact that many of us, hundreds of us, thousands of us here at the Fleet are exposed to benzene, which is one of the leading causes of leukemia.
Hey,
Yes.
thank you. My grandfather died of leukemia. My uncle died of leukemia. My cousin died of leukemia. My mom just sent me an email 2 weeks ago and listed all the types of leukemia that all the men in her side of the family from Italy have died from. And I was just like, whoa. And so, I mean, I feel pretty healthy, but you know, it's something that happens to the men on my mother's side of the family. So next time I go back in, I don't know how to do it, but I will.
Right, indeed. And once again, I'm going to reiterate this again. Monique is asking everybody who has been exposed to benzene, which is probably the majority of us on the Fleet, to
That's all of us.
please get tested, because you might feel good, healthy, well, active, etc., just as she did, and she's been diagnosed with leukemia. So out of the love and care that she has for the operators, she asked us to relay that message. Operators, please get tested. Hawa, any comments about that?
Yeah, definitely go get tested. I didn't even know that benzene causes leukemia. I will get tested. Everybody go get tested.
Sam?
I agree. Everyone get tested. When you go to the doctor, tell them, you operate under certain conditions. You operate in a city that has, specifically for some of the Kirkland routes, we know the 19 Polk has issues over at the Navy Yard. We know that. It's been documented. Go get tested. Get tested.
Oh, the 44, the 23, the 24, the 54 Felton. We're right there in Bayview and Hunters Point. I'm sure we get the win. I'm sure there's some interesting in the T line.
Operators, do not take it for granted. Your health is your wealth, just as Hawa had stated earlier. So please, in the words of Monique, operators, please get tested. Okay, we are definitely running out of time now. Looks like we went over time. So, Pete, 30 seconds.
30 seconds?
Last final
Yes.
comments.
Well, I
thoughts.
didn't mention quitting smoking since I get the most hate mail and offending the most people. The cigarette pack is $7 times. It's over $2,000 a year if you smoke only one pack a day. My father is in the hospital. He had lung cancer. He quit when I was born, and he only smoked for I think 20 years. But he finally diagnosed with lung cancer, spread to his head. Now it's spread to his legs with cellulitis. He's got something on his. Yeah, it's sad to see him in the state that he's in. If he comes home from the hospital, I'm gonna try and go spend some more time with him. Probably won't be with us for a year or two. But as far as smoking is concerned, I've got a friend over at Presidio that told me a couple years ago he wanted to quit. But the hard part was it's a very social thing. He goes out and he smokes with the other drivers and he hangs out. And I asked SFMTA I went down to 1 South Van Ness and I asked for a program. Can't we have a health program to help drivers quit smoking? Well, we don't have funding for that right now. So.
Interesting. Hawa, any final comments, suggestions, ideas, thoughts, anything you want to clear up? 30 seconds.
Health is your wealth. You are the most important person in your life. Take care of yourself. Work out as much as you want or as much as you can. Not just work out, but exercise, move around. Eat the best things that are healthy for you. Eat. Don't worry about how much it costs. Just be healthy, eat healthy, move healthy. You'll be healthy. That's why we have 2 legs to move around, and our digestive system is only created for whole foods, not processed. So be as healthy as you can.
Sam, any last final comments?
I would say leave work at work and let home be home. Keep your stress level down. Pick a run that you know you want to do. If not, pick a block or go on the board so you're not doing it. So you're doing something different every day. Keep your stress level down. and make sure you get enough sleep. If you don't get enough sleep, use your time. Do not put people in jeopardy. Do not put yourself in jeopardy.
Indeed. Health versus wealth. Health is your wealth. Let's help each other stay healthy. Thank you to everybody for tuning in, for joining us today. Remember, we are going to have future episodes in regards to health, staying healthy, health versus wealth, because this is just a drop in the bucket in terms of everything that we can and should be talking about. So if you have any other comments, suggestions, please email us with any pithy comments. Our email address is thetransittalk@gmail.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Join us on Facebook, The Transit Talk. And you can also follow us on Twitter @The Transit Talk. From all of us here to all of you out there, be safe and be healthy.
And make sure to like. The more likes, the more people will know about it. It will be more in the feed. Please like and comment.
Thank you for that. Be safe, be healthy.
Smooth operator.